This is Mike Farrar with Preferred Pump. A few months ago, we released a video on how to meg a motor. Today, I want to talk more about what is megging and also why do we meg a motor or wire. Okay, so let's start with what is megging. Okay, megging is whenever we're measuring the insulation resistance of a motor. What is insulation resistance? That's a measure of how hard it is to go from a power wire to the ground, which is also the case of the motor, right? So it's how hard it is for it to have a path from power to ground. Okay, so if we see a high number when we do that, a high amount of resistance, let's say 10 meg, that means that we have a good motor. 10 meg or greater, we have a good motor. What if you have less than 10 meg? Well, that means that insulation that prevents the current from going from power to ground is not as good, which means that you really have a much less reliable product or motor. Okay? What happens if you have a very low resistance, like 0 ohms? What that means is you have a direct path from power to ground, which again, this is ground, so now this case is hot if these black wires are hot. That means if you come in contact with the case or with the water that the motor is in, you can get shocked. So we want to prevent that. So insulation resistance is very important to us. Okay. The second question is, how do we measure this insulation resistance? So we have two choices. We can use an ohm meter, or we can use a specific device called a megger. What's the difference? An ohm meter tests at 0.5 volts, close enough, whereas a megger tests at either 500 volts or 1,000 volts. So what difference does that make to us? Well, to answer that question, I kind of use an analogy about you have a truck, you have a small leak in your radiator hose, you go out in the morning, you start the truck up, it's cold, it's not leaking water, you drive 50 miles, and now your no leak has changed into water spewing out of your radiator hose. What's the difference? Well, it's gotten hot, so your pressure is much higher, and it's causing the water to eject out of the hose. Okay, so with the higher voltage, what we're doing is we're putting more pressure on this system looking for leaks. So the higher the voltage we can put on it, the better chance we have to find a leak. It's not causing a leak, it's finding a leak. So we can find problems before they get to be big problems. Okay? So if you have any questions about this, please give me a call. Thank you.